everyone, welcome back to the Butterflies podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the different doctors that we see for having Turner syndrome and a little bit about what those appointments look like. So it can kind of vary depending on what symptoms you've experienced. But for me, I see, in addition to just your regular every year physical, I see an endocrinologist once a year. I have labs drawn for that to make sure my hormones are good, because that's what an endocrinologist specializes in. It's the whole system of producing and processing hormones. And sometimes people with TS don't make enough estrogen, so it's to keep an eye on that and make sure that's all good. I also see a cardiologist. It was originally once a year, but it's more recently been more every other year to keep an eye on my heart, because I had problems with that as a baby. And for that, sometimes I'll have to do something called an echocardiogram, where it's like basically an ultrasound, like what you would do for if you're pregnant for the baby, but like on the heart, so the cardiologist can look at the heart. Or sometimes I do an EKG, which is just like a bunch of kind of like they put these like sticker things kind of on you, and they like clip these wires on, so it just like monitors your heart rate and stuff. So I might need to do something like that for one of those appointments. And I haven't seen an eye doctor in a few years, but I had a lazy eye as a kid, and I had surgery for that when I was around 5 or 6, I think. So I was seeing one for a while after that, just to make sure my eyes were still good. And now the others can share their experiences with doctors and what they see.
Hi, I'm Sophia. My experience with doctors is, so far I've had to see a cardiologist around once a year and get an echocardiogram. It's been a battle with that, because there was even a point one time as a little kid, I had to go to the hospital on my birthday for that test. And recently in terms of medical stuff, I've been having to deal with my period, because with TS, a lot of people struggle with periods, and we have to take a medication called progesterone. I ended up mistaking that medication, and it ended up causing me to go to the hospital and need a blood transfusion, and I had to deal with doctors like that. In terms of seeing normal doctors, I also see a pediatrician and an endocrinologist. Both of them I have appointments with around once a year, so they check to make sure that I'm okay.
I'm Natalie, and with what Mary said, I actually dealt with having a lazy eye too ever since I was a kid, and it was actually in both of my eyes, and that would cause me to have to go to the eye doctor like once or twice a year, but now it's more once a year, only because like I think now my eyes are better, thankfully, and I think I do see an endocrinologist, and I think that I also have to see an ENT, and they give me like hearing tests and things like that. And I also have a cardiologist too, and with what Mary said too, I think like every couple years I have to get an ultrasound on my heart, and even then sometimes yeah, it wouldn't be very pleasant, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm Sarah, and so I think I see all the doctors that everyone else has talked about. So the endocrinologist every 6 months, the cardiologist I see. Mine's actually the opposite from Mary's. It's gradually gotten more frequent. Like at first it was like every 5 years, and then they noticed some kind of odd things, and it became every other, and now it's up to every year, just because my cardiologist like literally does not understand my heart, so he just needs to keep an eye on it. And then I also see a dermatologist once a year, because a lot of people with TS, including me, have a lot of moles. So let's just like check up. It's a really quick appointment. It's like 5 minutes. But just like to make sure that nothing looks cancerous or anything. So yeah, endocrinologist, cardiologist, dermatologist.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
see
that's
an
it.
endo, and I'm still working on like getting a team, but I will be seeing a cardiologist and a derm soon now that I have good insurance. And I also see an ophthalmologist for my eyes and an audiologist for my ears. because I have really bad hearing and eyesight.
Yes, I also see an endo. I think most of us do at this point because of how Turner syndrome affects the estrogen. But I do also see a cardiologist, and with I had to have like an MRI on my heart like every 4 years and like an ultrasound in it like once a year, I think. And I just started recently seeing an audiologist for my ear.
Oh, I forgot to say this, but I also see an eye doctor because my eyesight kind of sucks.
And an echocardiogram on my heart when I first got diagnosed. And I don't know if anyone else has had this, but an ultrasound on your ovaries.
I had one on my kidneys because I know it's common for people.
Oh, speaking of kidneys, I went to see a kidney doctor when I was younger, but that I do not see one anymore though. And they also want me to have an ultrasound on my ovaries at one point.
Yeah,
okay, now
I
Sophia, you
didn't.
can go.
I was gonna say I haven't had an ultrasound on my ovaries, but I did have one on my uterus during Bloodmageddon because they wanted to check the thickness of the lining because the goal was to get it as thin as possible before I would like actually get a period, so that way it didn't cause me to bleed to death.
Okay, Michaela, I think you wanted to go, right?
Yeah, so I had an abdominal ultrasound, which is like of everything. When I transitioned from my pediatric endocrinologist to my adult endocrinologist, she wanted to check everything. So I had that. And then I see a cardiologist too. And then I see an ENT because when I was younger, I would get ear infections like monthly. And so I have to see an ENT along with an audiologist because the hearing issues were caused a lot of stuff, and I have had to have so many surgeries on my ears, and so I have to see them regularly, and I think that's about it.
I saw an ENT when I was younger until I was about 8, I want to say, because of my ear infections, which have thankfully stopped because they are not fun.
Yeah, it's weird how they get better when you get older.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. I like never get ear infections anymore, but I used to get them not super frequently, but I used to get when I was little and haven't had any in a while.
I had a couple of ear infections when I was younger, but like that's about it. But they still want to check my ears. Also, to add on to like the doctor stuff, correct me, but it was actually the uterus. I think they wanted to do an ultrasound on me for. Either way, it's still kind of like similar under the same category. And as for doctors, I think I also see one for my anxiety.
Yeah, I am going to be getting a therapist soon. I've bounced in and out of therapy, but I'm going to be starting it up again soon because my anxiety, which can be verified by all of you, has been off the walls lately.
I think all of us have pretty bad anxiety, to be honest.
Yeah, I need to get back in therapy. I've been really inconsistent about it, but
Oh, I was put in group therapy for the longest time. It was not fun, but I do think I need to go back.
Yeah, luckily I never had to do therapy because mine just got regulated with medication and I was able to like handle it on my own with medications, so I've never had to do that, but yeah, I'm on anxiety meds.
I
am too.
I did therapy when I was in middle school, but my therapist was bad, so we ended up leaving, and I haven't done therapy since then, but I would really like to get back into it. And I'm also on anxiety medicine.
I want to be on anxiety medicine, but my dad, he's like, that's a drastic thing. Like, anxiety meds are a pretty big thing. And if we can figure, like, this problem out without putting you on those meds, then that's a good thing. I guess. I don't know. He thinks that meditation is the solution to everything, pretty much.
The thing is that you can't really use the tools to help you with anxiety, and I can say this from personal experience. None of the tools to help me with my anxiety really worked until I was on medicine. So hopefully he does change his mind at some point. Because
Well, 'cause
medication honestly had saved my life in ways.
I feel like what a lot of people don't understand is anxiety is caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain. And so the medication helps balance out those chemicals. And so I feel like that's why anxiety meds help, is because it's an actual chemical imbalance in your brain, not just like, like I don't know how to explain that better, but
Exactly. And it's like if you don't have the tools to help with your brain, you won't be able to use the tools to help regulate it.
yeah, that was the point I was making, but I for some reason could not find the words to explain it.
Good.
I just wanted to mention something else. I don't know if it's just from personal experience, but I know I don't know if scoliosis is related to Turner syndrome, but I know that that is something that I've had to personally deal with, and so I also have been having to go to the doctor for that, and I used to have a brace, but I think that hasn't really worked, so we're still trying to figure out the next path. But I think for me, back problems, besides all the other things that come with Turner syndrome, have also been affecting me a lot. So I was just wondering if anyone else had those experiences.
Yeah, I have a slight scoliosis, so I used to see an orthopedic to keep an eye on that, but it hasn't changed in a long time because I'm done growing, so it's not really changing anymore. So I'm not worried about it anymore. But I have dealt with that. I didn't have a brace or anything, which I'm relieved about. But
I do have scoliosis, and I went to see a physical therapist. And there is there's a certain type of physical therapy that helps with scoliosis called the Schroth method, and I was doing that, but it's a lot of work, and physical therapy really isn't for everyone. Like, it takes years and years of work, so that might not be an option for everyone.
I have not dealt with scoliosis, but to go on to more of Natalie wondering if it has to do with Turner syndrome, the best way one of my doctors explained it is because we take growth hormones. Sometimes scoliosis can be like a side effect of it, because we don't grow naturally. It If we do it too well or too fast, it can affect our backs and stuff. I remember I grew really fast with growth hormones at some point, and they were really worried about scoliosis then. But luckily, I haven't had to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't have scoliosis, but when I was in 5th grade, I fractured a vertebrae in my back, and I've had issues with it ever since. So I think that's probably not related, but I have had back issues too, just not scoliosis.
This is a funny story, but this is how I got my back issues. So when I was in 5th grade as well, I was sledding on a really big hill, and someone had built a massive speed bump, and I flew in the air and practically broke my back.
That's insane, because I slipped on ice when I fractured mine.
Dang, that's wild.
Oh, I want to say it was a 3-foot tall speed bump. So basically my height at that time, maybe I was a foot taller, but I flew in the air 10 feet in the air, and I landed so hard on the back of my sled and then plummeted down on the bottom of the hill and practically fractured or broke my back.
Oh my god. Me and my dad are pretty big on snowboarding, and a couple years ago I was going down a hill and I wiped out pretty bad. And the thing about snowboarding is the board is directly connected to your feet. So the way I fell, my feet swung and the board hit my back.
I was quite the reckless child. I was always hurting my back some way. I was riding a horse, and we were like going like a really good speed, like running, and then I accidentally did something, and then I fell off the horse. The horse was like 12 feet onto rocks. I was a reckless child. I don't know where I got the recklessness from, but I was constantly hurting myself.
Girl, I broke my arm one time because I kept jumping up and down a tree, and my aunt was babysitting me at the time, and when she just started screaming at me to stop jumping, I looked at her, jump, and broke my arm.
Wild.
Listen, I was a weird kid.
I
To be
feel like we
fair-
all were.
To be fair, I think most kids are strange.
I mean, you're not wrong, Grace.
I've looked at a couple of schools, and some of the things kids do are wild.
Oh,
No,
God.
Michaela can do this too. The children, the pre-cares, what is going on with them right now? Like, why are they so
The
sassy?
The
My
level of
pre-cares know the word
sass.
Sigma and
Oh
yacht.
dear lord.
One
I
of them
was called
literally
a
yelled,
Christmas tree
"You're
topper."
not skibbity." One of them literally yelled the other day, "You're not skibbity Sigma."
I was called a Christmas tree topper on Halloween in 2022 because I was dressed as an angel, and he was like, this little boy was like, no, you're a Christmas tree topper. Like, with the level of confidence of the president. Like, seriously, it was so funny.
Oh my God. When I did jujitsu, we were often working with little kids, and there was this one kid, I forgot his real name, but everyone was having problems with this kid so much that we started nicknaming him Potato. And in jujitsu, you earn your nickname, so everyone started calling him Potato. And there was one time my dad was like substituting and teaching the class, and Potato pissed my dad off so much that my dad just screamed, "God damn it, Potato!"
Oh gosh.
That's so funny.
I mean, the kid had it coming. Nobody liked this kid. Everyone had beef with this kid. So,
Oh god.
if anyone deserved it, I'm sorry, it was that kid.
Alright, thank you so much for listening to our doctor experiences / injury stories / kid stories. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.